And let's get back to it. It feels good to be back. I needed a break after that. Very, very tough August. The full month of August was an absolute grind. So feels good to calm down, regroup, watch the games this weekend. They were great, and get right back into it. We still have to figure out maybe a little bit of a schedule for this year. We'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point. But it feels good to be back.
Yeah, week 1 is officially in the books. I mean, the Thursday night game was a crazy way to start the season, but my Eagles are 1-0. I could figure we
We'll
can
get
start
to
with
that.
that.
We'll get to that. I think we should start with something else, though. I think we should start with the game that's the most fresh in our minds, and that
Okay.
is the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears, where the end of the game, or the final score of the game, excuse me, was 27-24. Going into the last quarter, obviously the Bears were up. It felt like the game was completely dead. JJ McCarthy was pissing down his leg, and they go and they score 21 points in the fourth quarter, and they go and edge the Bears out and win this football game. The reason I want to start with this is because, one, it's the freshest game in our minds right now, but I feel like the other side of it this week, Tyler Dunn from Go Long dropped a 3-part series called The House of Dysfunction. It's the Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears story, where he interviewed a multitude of ex-head coaches and front office members. I believe it was around 32. And there were some interesting takeaways from that article that I read. I don't know if you took the time to read it or not. I sent it the other day. And it caught a few things I want to go over, because one, I want to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. I felt like, I know it's week 1. I know there's a lot of football left to be played. I know there's a very long season ahead of us, but based on our preview of all the teams across the NFL and our predictions going into the season, I feel really great about how we took in the offseason this year and how the week 1 played out. I personally do. I don't know how you feel. You try to play like sly and cool, like, oh, I don't overreact to week 1. It's like, well, they play games. Like,
what I'll say is, yes, you're correct. I will not overreact to week 1. It is a long season. I remember there was points in the season last year where we were like, oh, this team is dead, and they rose from the grave, and they ended up being a playoff team, the Rams specifically. And then there was a point where the Packers weren't looking great, and then they rattled off a bunch of wins too. So, like, it is week 1. I can overreact right now and say that I also feel like we did a pretty solid job of our evaluation of some of these teams. I know there was a team that, in particular, that you mentioned texting that you were like, I wish I could change my opinion on them to start the season.
We'll get to that for
but
sure.
But if you only have like a few teams that you're like kind of on that you're skeptical about, I would say that that's a pretty solid start to the season then.
It is. Sorry, we had to pat ourselves in the back there. Every once in a while, it doesn't hurt. We have a lot of haters. But to get back into this House of Dysfunction situation, there's a few takeaways that I have, and I echoed it in our preseason preview of the Chicago Bears. What I took away from it is Ryan Poles was in way over his head, and he had some infatuation with the fact that Caleb Williams could potentially be the Chicago Bears quarterback even before he was draft eligible. Like, he wouldn't take like a CJ Stroud, for example, because he said, I'm not going to take another Ohio State quarterback. The media will crush me for that. And then during the pre-draft process of Caleb Williams, it was no one else. The way that the narrative was shaped is that nobody else was given a fair shake at the pre-draft process for the Chicago Bears. The pick for them, before even looking or evaluating tape or anything like that, it was led to believe that the pick was Caleb Williams no matter what. And he also said a similar statement during that process. The media will kill me if I don't take Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. One, that's ridiculous. I said that going back into our preview that I hate Ryan Poles. I think he's in way over his head. And to hear how chronically online he is and to worry about who he's going to be taking, who the media is worried about him taking the first overall pick. Yeah, I think that that's complete bullshit. Now, on the other side of things, the Caleb Williams situation right now, and I'm going to loop this all into week one. Caleb Williams is a bad pro. He's being a bad pro football player. He's not willing to be coached. During the season last year, the players were internally calling for his benching as well as other coaches. They had to dumb down the process because that's what Caleb Williams wanted, which also led to a lot of pre-snap issues and penalties stemmed from Caleb Williams' inability to call a play and properly and have like a proper cadence for when they got out onto the football field. Screaming at coaches, the Thomas Brown situation was actually pretty crazy. To have somebody who's an interim head coach and to just blow them off and him having to scream at him to come back and take direction of him. I think that's ridiculous. Like, you have to be coachable. And the last thing, the film comment that was made over the summer, he got Jamarcus Russelled. And they were saying, he said that they never taught me how to watch film. He wasn't watching film. So I said this as well in the preview. There are no good vibes around Caleb Williams in any way, shape, or form. And now to lead it into this Monday night game, and then I'll let you talk. Sorry. We go into Monday night game. The first drive of the game, everybody really gassed him up. A lot of checkdowns to the running backs. I pointed that out right away. He made one great play where he scrambled out on the right and hit a dot for Rome Odunze. The rest was a lot of missed sacks, and he took advantage of that and used his legs, which I thought was impressive. I thought that was good to see. But from a throwing perspective, I wasn't like, wow, Caleb Williams looks like, and how he's operating within the structure of this offense, he looks like a completely different guy. There's a lot of broken plays and nothing within the structure of the offense. Lastly, after that drive, they went on to have a multitude of miscommunications with 12 penalties along the offensive line. And then multiple times throughout the games where Caleb was sending the wrong guys in motion, sending them back out wide, the whole nine. I was all over the Caleb Williams hype train when he came out. I thought he would be an amazing quarterback. But I commented that I was out on the Chicago Bears because of Ryan Poles. Caleb Williams has also now fallen into that category of bad decision-making within that front office, bad habits that he has developed that I am questioning will ever go away in his pro tenure, which I think as of now is definitely on watch, because we watched the Ben Johnson experience on week one of the NFL season in a standalone spot where they should have had this game absolutely dead to rights, won, no problem. And Caleb Williams pissed down his leg and lost this football game for his team. He missed multiple throws, so many miscues, and he just didn't look good. So I just said a lot. One, did you read this article? And two, am I overreacting to all of this? Because I don't feel like I am at all. I think Caleb Williams is bad.
I did read the article. The one thing that I was like trying to go into it was like, okay, maybe there's a couple people that had some bad thing to say that were prior in the Bears organization, that were like trying to save face for themselves, trying to get.
It was anonymous.
I know. Hold on.
I agree with that statement, though.
But I was trying to look at it from that perspective, and now I think there's a case to be made about that. If it's like 5 people, 10 people, but like, when the list is that large, there's got to be some type of truth behind it. Because where there's smoke, there's usually fire, right? So if it was only a couple people, I could sit back here and say, oh, okay, well, maybe these people were trying to get back and didn't like how things ended in Chicago, and this is them kind of like making up for it, trying to make themselves feel better about that situation. But I think the list being, what did you say? Like 20, I think it was like 25, 30.
I thought it was 32, but don't quote me on that. I think it was more
Either
than that.
either way, anything more than 15 people would be enough for me to say, okay, yeah, there's probably some truth to this. And with that being said, I do believe that there is some truth to it. Last year was a mess. Caleb Williams going in there and basically making them bow down to him and change everything for the way that he wanted it. And then for things to not go well offensively, that's a mess. That's a really bad look. Ben Johnson has his work cut out for him. The offense last night looked great for the first drive, and then it just looked so out of sync. It looked sloppy. There was a lot of mental errors, penalties, like you mentioned, that you wouldn't necessarily expect from a Ben Johnson run offense per se, but that's inevitably what happened. It looked sloppy. The first drive was great. The throw was great. Caleb missed a lot of throws in later in the game. Took a lot of checkdowns. But I'm not ruling him out as like this is the end for him. I think some of the things that went wrong, like he can fix. I think the penalties are something that he can fix. Like I think Ben Johnson's going to have to actually lay into him, and I think this will be a good test to see whether or not Ben Johnson is like actually cut out to be a head coach, because not everything is going to be you getting to coach an offense where you have stars all over the field. You have an amazing offensive line. Like being a head coach in the NFL is tough, and if he can figure out how to right the ship here, at least do whatever he can. I'm not putting all of the blame on him. A lot of it deserves to be on Caleb Williams, because there was time in and time out in that game last night where there were guys open and he just made bad throws, and that's not Ben Johnson's fault. Ben Johnson can only scheme the guys open so much. Caleb has to go out there and play. But I'm not going to sit here and say like he's cooked. I think that this is going to be a growing process for him. But we'll see how it goes.
So I guess a better question for you then, because I said yesterday, he just wasn't the right pick at number 1 overall. Clear as day, no matter, zero argument. When you take somebody number 1 overall, you can make up for all of the deficiencies around you. That's what's expected walking into the door as a number 1 overall pick in the NFL. As a quarterback, you're going to be able to make up for some of these deficiencies around you and elevate everybody else. He does none of that. At this point, we're pretty much sitting here saying, please, Ben Johnson, take Caleb Williams' hand and lead him to the promised land, because he cannot do this himself at all.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think there's still a growing process that needs to happen. I think there's still a developing process that needs to happen. And like, that is a coach's job too, is to develop your young guys. So I think some of that can still change, but missing some of those throws as a number 1 pick just kind of make you go, will validate what you're saying. Yeah, because there's those throws that were open that we were able to see from some of the all 22 stuff where it's like, okay, that's a throw that a number 1 overall pick should make.
Caleb Williams, I'm planting my flag. He's cooked. I'm out on Caleb Williams in full. I'm out on the I soft launch being out on the Chicago Bears before the season start. I'm hard launched out on the Chicago Bears. This isn't a playoff team. They're not good. This roster isn't good. The defense isn't good. The secondary isn't good. The offense isn't good. Good thing they took all of those weapons in the NFL draft. Good thing they took Luther Burden at the top of the second round for him to stand on the fucking sideline the entire time.
Colston Loveland.
The running game's bad. The offensive line is bad. And of course, Caleb Williams is bad. So that's me. That's fine. Listen, whenever you want to hop over on ship with me, I will gladly take you, because I think that I'm going to be on the right side of history being out on Caleb Williams. I just don't think he's good enough. He's clearly just doesn't take this serious, like being a professional athlete serious, which is what I would want if I was going to have somebody leading my franchise. On the opposite side of things, we have the Minnesota Vikings who, you look at JJ McCarthy, he was dead. He was dead. I was like, he's everybody, every group chat, JJ McCarthy's terrible. He's no good. This, that, and the third. The fact there are not many quarterbacks, and I'm not overreacting to the fact and being like JJ McCarthy's top 5 or anything like that. Just a true hard statement is there are very few quarterbacks that can start as badly as he did in not just his game in a career in total, but to go from 0 to 100 game was so impressive. He put the team on his back, literally made a ton of great plays after being very scared, it felt like the entire game, and to just turn up in the fourth quarter when it mattered most. At this point, I feel like that performance is getting a little bit underrated because his stats were so shitty, but people are already complaining on social media, like, how did he win NFC Player of the Week? Like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, did you watch the game? Like, he literally brought them back from the dead. He brought himself back from the dead. How did you feel about the JJ McCarthy performance, the era overall, and what do you think about this Vikings team?
The first half versus the second half of JJ McCarthy felt almost okay. I'll say the first 3 quarters basically of the JJ McCarthy experience left a lot of room to be desired as far as, is this guy going to be the guy? Is this going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings? And then the fourth quarter comes around and he leads them. He throws a 13-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson. Next drive, 27-yard touchdown pass to Aaron Jones. Next drive, 14-yard touchdown run, 21 straight points. He turned the X factor on in the fourth quarter. It felt like it took him 3 quarters to get comfortable. But at the end of the day, hell of a fourth quarter for that guy. I think the first few quarters should still be taken into consideration, but a lot of that gets wiped away when you play as well as he did in that fourth quarter, ultimately winning the game for them.
I mean, it takes everything away. It literally takes.
Well,
he
looked scared. He looked scared in those first few quarters, and
was also his first start.
True, 100%. And there was a lot of questions around him. Like, we didn't really see him do a whole lot at Michigan. He didn't really have to make a ton of plays. But he came through here for Minnesota in the fourth quarter when they needed it most, and when it really looked like this game was going to be over early. He turned up.
I was getting ready to go to bed. I was like, oh, I had Vikings money line for people who were curious. So I was like sitting there and I bet it with Colton. We were watching the game together and I was like, dude, if they don't do anything this drive, I'm going to bed. And then they go down and score. And I was like, wait a second. It's not over.
There's life.
So,
yep.
Something that I would definitely monitor going forward, because if JJ McCarthy can elevate the way that he did in the fourth quarter consistently throughout an entire game and throughout the course of the season, this will be a team that's definitely going to be really hard to play on a week-to-week basis, just with how deep their roster is on defense and offense and having an amazing coaching staff. And it really shined through in that game, and it really just confirmed the Bears are just going to continue to be the Bears.
I have a week 1 overreaction for you, but if
Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl,
no. If Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings win this division, are they? I think he's up there. I think he's probably the second or third best coach in the NFL.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably up there in the top 5 for sure, solidified already.
I know, but I'm stamping it as like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. He's a great head coach.
He will have done it with.
I think probably
obviously it's week 1.
The only thing that he would have to prove is that he can go to a Super Bowl, and there
Correct.
are other coaches in the NFL who have done that. I know people don't like Shanahan for whatever reason, but there are the list that I read off like when we were in the offseason. It's like the only people that have been to the Super Bowl is like Tom Brady, Sean McVay, Andy Reid, and Kyle Shanahan pretty much like over the last like 10 years. So I think that he would have to take that step where we know he's a great regular season head coach.
I do agree with that. Yes.
But he needs to take a step and go on a run in the playoffs and solidify himself as one of the best. But I do like him. I think he's great.
I think he is too. And if he just continues to, turn quarterbacks into NFL high level guys,
The quarterback
starting level quarterbacks, like there's a conversation to be had. And I think who would have thought though, like piggybacking on the Kevin O'Connell thing, like we could just transition this right into the next game if you want, but the Daniel Jones show in Indianapolis.
Yeah, we could do that, and then we can do the Cowboys after that. Yeah, I mean, you're literally the squares better that I've ever met in my entire life. You texted everybody in the morning and was like, Dolphins money line. The Colts haven't won, and
I didn't take that.
It was like that's the biggest trap of all time.
And I didn't take it.
Then why'd you text it? You can't.
I felt good about it.
You texted a play and then didn't take it.
That's right.
You guys hear this guy? You're messed up.
I didn't take it. You're right.
I think obviously Indianapolis went out and beat the Miami Dolphins 33-8. I think the only thing that we can really fall back on in this is we knew how bad the Miami Dolphins were going to be going into this season. If you didn't think that, Peter Schrager, I know that was your team that everybody was sleeping on. No one believes in this team. They stink. I mean, they're just not a good football team. Tua looked lost. Their defense stinks. Their offense stinks. Tyreek was already crashing out on the sideline. I'm not going to overreact. I think Daniel Jones played great, but yeah. I'm also a Daniel Jones truther a little bit. Like I don't think he sucks the way that everybody thinks that how bad he is. He obviously has struggled with some injuries. So I said it when we did this. I was like, if the Colts, if you could guarantee me like a Daniel Jones healthy season, I would put them in a situation where they could potentially win the division. But just based off history, he's had so many back-to-back major injuries. It kind of scared me off a little bit. But I'm not shocked by this performance from Daniel Jones at all. Me personally.
It just seemed like he was like the most comfortable that we've potentially ever seen him in an offense, even though he's been there for one off season. I guess it helps when you're playing the Dolphins and they're going to be absolutely horrible and Tua turns the ball over 3 times. And so you end up getting 3 extra possessions, but I saw a couple,
a lot of pressure off of you.
Yeah. Aside from the game, but like I saw a couple of other clips of Daniel Jones, and it just looked like he had so much more time to distribute the football. And it's not like Indianapolis doesn't have weapons. Like they have guys to get the football to.
Are you shocked that somebody can go from the Giants to a different team and look decent? Like the Giants aren't good.
They're not good, but when you've just seen so much bad from somebody in one spot, you almost forget that there is even an other side of the spectrum, because it's just been bad for Daniel Jones
I've been beating my chest about Vanilla Vic for like what 3 years. I have.
That might be JJ McCarthy actually.
He might take over that name, but really what it comes down to is when the run game's clicking, when you have good offensive weapons across the board, sure-handed guys like a Tyler Warren, he looked really good in his first debut.
That's right.
Like a Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor are connecting on all cylinders. That takes a lot of pressure off you. And then you also mentioned the 3 turnovers, the 2 interceptions, and the 1 fumble. It kind of just allowed Daniel Jones to play more free and not be so tight wound when you're always playing from behind, when you know that if you ever make a mistake that the team's pretty much dead in the game, in the matchup. So I thought it was an encouraging performance, and we'll see if he can build on top of it for the rest of the year. But I think that is a great, great performance by him and validates the reasoning for why Anthony Richardson was benched during the offseason. Daniel Jones is just clearly the better quarterback in that room.
Yeah, he was just making the simple throws. He made a couple really nice throws along the sidelines. There was one to AD Mitchell. He had that one that was like a wheel play for the Michael Pittman touchdown, I believe. Like, those are throws that Anthony Richardson's probably missing high or overthrowing a guy. And then just some of those easier throws, like right around the line of scrimmage, it feels like you can't necessarily count on Anthony Richardson to make those. But yeah, obviously that's why Daniel Jones won this job. But I have another question for you is, what is the next step for Tyreek Hill here? Because he hasn't looked like Tyreek Hill in a long time. I don't believe he's had a catch for over 30 yards in like a season and a half, 2 seasons maybe. I know there's been some injuries in there and whatnot, but he just doesn't look like the same player. And I don't think he's necessarily done, but it's not, I don't feel great about the way that he's looked recently.
I don't know how anybody could feel good about Tyreek Hill overall, like even as like a human being. Like, I've seen like odds of where his next team could fall, and I see like the Cardinals are kind of like up on the list, and some of these other teams. It's like, why would you want a 31-year-old receiver who is a complete scumbag, who beats women, who is
Problematic,
always in trouble, always an off-field distraction? And for some reason he kind of like skates by for whatever reason that is. I think Tyreek Hill should be exiled from the NFL, kind of similarly to how Antonio Brown was closer to the end of his career, where he probably has some life left, but there is clearly something not clicking in Tyreek Hill's brain the way that everybody else's does. I used to be a big Tyreek Hill fan. He's a complete and utter scumbag. I don't know why anybody would want to take a shot at him and bring him in to their locker room. The only team, in my opinion, that makes any sense that they would do something like this is potentially the Chiefs connection there, just because they've had him in there before, and maybe Patrick can get him wound in tight and locked in, similarly to the Brady and Antonio Brown situation, oddly enough. But if he lands anywhere else, I just expect him to pretty much fizzle out and be a complete wild card.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate, the off the field stuff that he's done, because when that is not an issue, he's been a great football player, and you just hate to see it end this way potentially. But even the Brady Antonio Brown pairing didn't end well. So
it did not.
Who are we to say that the Chiefs could be the ones to fix Tyreek Hill?
He did win a Super Bowl and then crashed out.
Yes.
But that's the only way I think it would work, is if he goes back to a familiar place and they give him some sort of real chance to be in a winning football situation. I don't know why any young team, any possible contending team on the edge would be like, yep, let's take a shot at this absolute circus off the field 31-year-old asshole to try to set us over the top this season. I've spoken ad nauseum about how I think wide receivers are extremely overrated to begin with. Why would you bring one in that's completely washed and a problem off the field? So that's really what I think is next for Tyreek Hill. Unfortunately, he just seems like a complete asshole.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like I said, to see it transpire the way that it has, because like I said, when he's playing well, he's been one of the best, but we haven't seen that version of Tyreek Hill in a while, and I don't realistically expect to see it anytime soon.
Ever again.
So rot in Miami, basically.
Yeah. All right, let's move on back Now let's backtrack to the Thursday night football game. Obviously, you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. You start out the season 0-1. I know you're sweating your dick off. 24-20
Want to know?
is the final score of this game. There is the storyline. Excuse me. I had to sneeze. The storyline from this obviously is the Cowboys kind of let one slip through the fingers a little bit in a way. We start off the game shocking another guy who is a complete scumbag who you haven't really heard any good from off the field in any way, shape, or form is a guy named Jalen Carter, and he goes and spits on Dak's like top of his jersey, which if he spit in his face, I mean he should have been banned from the NFL. That is like I said it would have been better if he punched him, honestly, than spitting on him. I just think that that's like one of the most disrespectful things you could ever do and disgusting. And then for some reason they showed an alternate angle where Jalen Carter is clearly like 5 yards away and Dak spits at his feet. And then Jalen Carter gets in his face and spits on him. The Dak side of this, I don't know why people are trying to act like Dak did anything or whatever. I think that he was talking shit for sure, but that's also like a part of the game. And then Jalen Carter was 5 yards on the line of scrimmage in the Cowboys huddle. He probably shouldn't have been there to begin with. He spits on him and gets injected. I would say that I'm shocked, but I mean, Jalen Carter's a scumbag, so I'm not like overly shocked by this.
Yeah, I think Dak was just fucking with him, honestly, and
he like smiled at
because he spit at him and then he like chuckled and smiled and whatnot, and I don't know. Do I think that warranted Jalen Carter to get up there and spit on him? Absolutely not. So
crazy.
That sucked. Like it was so weird because like everyone, you're kind of like not necessarily paying attention because they're getting like ready for they're like trying to figure out what's going on with that guy that got hurt on the kickoff. I think it was Ben Van Sumeren. And it's like, okay, like
he was sick. I felt terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what happened. I don't know what the injury is, but like you're on the screen, it's him and the medical staff. So it's like, okay, like, all right, maybe like take a look at your phone real quick. And then you look back up and it's like, what the hell's happening? You see Jalen Carter walking to the locker room without his helmet on. And it's like, what the hell is happening? Where's he going? What did he do? And then they show the clip of him getting up in Dak's face and spitting on him. And it's just like, dude, you've got to be kidding me. You have to be smarter than that. You know your importance to this defensive line. You know your importance to this defensive unit. You just screwed over your entire team for this game. And now Dallas has even more motivation than they already needed on top of it being banner night in Philly. It's like, they have that. That's like, okay, let's go spoil their banner night. And now it's like, oh shit, one of their best defensive player is out for this whole game. Like we have them right where we want them. And you saw the Cowboys move the football up and down the field relatively well, all the way up until the lightning delay. Basically, they were running the football more than I would have preferred, but that's Jalen Carter's fault. He has to know better than to do some stupid shit like that. And I'm not trying to discredit Dallas.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say I'm not discrediting Dallas because I thought Dak made some really nice throws. I thought they ran the ball pretty well. I thought their offensive line was moving guys around for a majority of that game. So they get their credit for that. I thought that they looked how we expected them to look coming into this season.
I said this originally, like, I don't think that they would have ran the ball up the middle the way that they did, but I expected that same outcome with or without Jalen Carter, like on the football field, to be completely honest with you, just because of what this Eagles defense currently looks like. But we'll get into that. The one thing that really kind of screws over Jalen Carter is he just like puts like an unnecessary target like on him now from every like from every aspect, like from the referees moving forward in every
Yeah.
single game. They're probably going to be meeting before the game being like, keep an eye on Jalen Carter.
Yep.
Like this just unnecessary. Yeah, that was really a boneheaded mistake and stupid by him. But to get into this game, I mean, awesome game first and foremost. What my biggest takeaway from this game, and I'm planting my flag on it early. You're not going to like to hear this at all. This Eagles team's not going back to the Super Bowl. They're just not good enough, plain flat and simple. The first thing that I'm a little bit worried about, and I don't know if you can give me an update on this, is I know that 2 of their offensive linemen went down, and if they miss any extended period of time, I might even overreact a little bit more. I hope that's not the case, but just strictly from a defensive perspective, they're not good enough. They are not good enough to be able to lean on this defense. I thought Jahad Campbell looked good. Zach Bond made a literally the play of the game by tackling Miles Sanders' slow ass. Any other running back in the NFL scores on that play. But the secondary looks really bad. The run defense looks really bad. I know Jalen Carter was not out there. I think even with him out there, I still think that at times you could probably make that unit look weak. And then lastly, it was something that me and you talked about when we came into the season was they lost so much along this defensive line and this edge rusher room over the last 2 to 3 seasons. They're depleted at that position as well. They couldn't really get the type of pressure that you're used to seeing a Philadelphia defense get. And Dak had an amazing game. It doesn't look as good on the stat sheet, but you had multiple drops by wide receivers from CeeDee Lamb that should have happened. He had a long pass interference on George Pickens on the sideline. I thought Dak played really well, and for me and you felt this way. Obviously, we felt good about the Dallas Cowboys, but from straight the betting perspective and the public perception of what this Cowboys football team was, the Eagles were an 8.5-point favorite at home. People thought that they were going to stomp the Cowboys on opening night. It was quite literally the opposite. And I think that matters a little bit. The Cowboys defense was viewed as one of the worst in the entire NFL. I thought they really played well against this Eagles team. So yeah, I'm planting my flag early. Is just this team. I said that they're going to be good this season. I said that I don't think that they could win the division, but they're definitely not going to go back to the Super Bowl with the current construction of this defense. It's just not good enough.
Yeah, I think they need to figure out the secondary a little bit. I think it also takes time with any Vic Fangio defense and all the new faces. So my expectations coming into this game were, and for the first few games, are like, okay, there's going to be some growing pains. There's new faces in a handful of spots. Let's see what it looks like in a few weeks. But
what's your immediate reaction after that game?
I was just going to say, for the first 3 quarters of this game, I was like, okay, this defense isn't good enough. And I know Jalen Carter makes this defense a lot better, but Jalen Carter isn't covering CeeDee Lamb. Jalen Carter isn't covering George Pickens. No. So, having Adoree Jackson out there, it's almost like the second year of James Bradbury is what it felt like watching Adoree Jackson out there. It's like, all right, no matter who this guy lines up on, they're getting a free release and likely going to have a catch. So
even Cooper DeJean was getting cut up as well.
Yeah. But he at least holds his own majority of the time, and I have less worries about him than Adoree Jackson. So as it sits, I think that this defense is going to take some time to get better, because realistically, the defense last year didn't get to the level that they were at until a handful of games into the season. Now, on the flip side of that, I think there was more talent on that team, undoubtedly, than there is on this team. But my expectation, again, with all these new faces is, okay, you don't need to be the number 1 defense in the NFL, but you got to be better than you were on Thursday night, or it's going to be a battle for the division, and you could be an early exit in the playoffs.
We talked about that going into the season, was that as like menacing as like the Eagles have been like over the last few seasons, just particularly pointing to last season, their offense played well below expectation, in my opinion, of where they should have landed in the grand scheme of things. Like that should be a top 5 offense, no doubt, every day of the week. And they just weren't. They weren't even in the top 10. So, and to have that all-time historical defense, like to compensate that, going into the season, I was like, I need to see this passing offense take some step forward, look good. Like you have to change. And I saw the complete opposite on Monday night. It was a little discouraging from the aspect of AJ Brown only getting 1 target. A very boring style of offense, which we're used to seeing the Eagles play, of just like check downs, screens out on the boundaries. I didn't see Jalen Hurts take any deep shots, which he does throw an amazing deep ball, and I would like to see that probably a little bit more if they're able to open that up like in the past. But for a defense to limit like a Saquon Barkley, and obviously Jalen Hurts cut them up on the ground, he looked amazing. I thought he looked super athletic, super fast. I thought he ran the ball better than he has like in the past 2 seasons, that an individual night.
For
and
sure.
I was like very blown away with that. But to be able to bottle up Saquon a little bit and to have this secondary kind of lock up their entire wide receiving core. They gave up the 1 deep shot to Jahad Dotson. But other than that, like they kept this offense pretty bottled up in a way. And I'd say that I was pretty shocked to see that. I don't know if you were or not. I just based off of what everybody was saying going into the season, this Dallas defense was going to be one of the worst in the NFL. So I was expecting a larger output on offense from the Philadelphia Eagles.
And maybe this Dallas defense is going to be better than expected. Who knows? Maybe the reason they weren't as good as they could be is they didn't like Micah Parsons. And it's like, okay, the cancer's out of the room. Like now we can actually play as a cohesive unit and not 10 guys and 1 guy. So there could be that. But if they are that bad at the end of the season, then
can we agree on one thing?
What?
One thing? I know you're not going to agree with me on this Eagles stuff. I know you're not going to agree with me on the Jalen Hurts stuff. I thought he looked like shit passing the football. Thought this offense looked like shit. It is inexcusable to have AJ Brown have 1 target the entire game and to just get him 1 pass in the 4th quarter when the game is pretty much wrapped up. Can we agree that that's inexcusable?
Yeah, I was saying that the entire game. I was like, all right, we got to get AJ a look here. Like, get AJ a look. First quarter goes down. All right. AJ didn't have any targets in the first quarter. Okay, let's see about getting him some targets in the second quarter. Nothing in the second quarter, nothing in the third quarter. And the one thing offensively, well, there was 2 things. One is I don't think the play calling was great late in that game. And this, because there's no like Saquon had 66 yards, 60 yards. That's like one of the lowest rushing games he's had as an Eagle. And now I understand Dickerson was out and they had a couple other backups in there. I did just look it up, and Landon did practice today. And yeah, he did practice today. So it seems like he's trending to play against Kansas City this weekend, but one of his lower rushing days. And it really felt like you could predict when the Eagles were going to run the football. And Dallas took advantage of that. But back to the target thing. Yes, I completely agree that they need to do a better job of getting their best players the football. And that's the thing that I will never understand about an offensive coordinator in the NFL is like, we were talking about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and how they both only had 2 catches, but like there's no reason that the best players in the NFL just completely get taken out of a game and have 0 impact. Like I understand that there's guys that are going to get the football here in Philadelphia. There's Saquon, Jalen made plays. there's Devontae Smith and Goddard and whatever. But A.J. Brown is the second best player on this offense. There's no reason that he should have only had one target that entire game. Just like there's no reason that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase should have, that they only had 2 catches in their game. So, like, it's really not that difficult to just come up with ways to get your best player the football. That's the thing that I will never fully understand.
You would think.
Yeah,
you would think.
So yes, we do agree. We do agree on that.
Yeah. So
should AJ Brown get the football more? Yes, he should.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit. I was all over. For those who don't know, I mega maxed the Cowboys plus 8.5. I put $400 on it. Smacked that hit. I was on that play since the beginning, since midsummer. Remember when the lines got released, and I was like, dude, 6.5 points is way too many. And then it got the whole way up to 8.5, and I was like, that makes zero sense. I mean, that's just not going to happen. I think that the Cowboys could almost win this game outright. And like I said, I think that it hurts. The Cowboys have to be somewhat happy. Obviously, there's no moral victories because you should have won that game on the road. But if CD Lamb can just catch the football on on back-to-back drives, like where it was just like, dude, like be a guy, like you get paid all this money, like if you are who you say you are, like be a dude and like make a play. And he had a great game, but he could have had a
spectacular
cement game. Cement yourself as like one of the league's top wide receivers and why you are who you are type game.
Yeah.
He legitimately, no pun intended, let it slip through his fingers. So great game, awesome game. The lightning delay sucked, but I had a massive bet, and I feel really good about where we were at with the
what was I going to say? The two drops. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. What were you saying? My bad.
I was going to say the 3 drops from CD were like 2 of them were super uncharacteristic. They were definitely 2 plays that he should have made. And then that third one where he had to dive for it is a pass that I would still expect him to make as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. If it's like wide receiver 3 for Dallas, if it's like Turpin doesn't make that play, it's like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
On to the next one. If he makes it, you're like, holy shit, did you see that play? But that's a play that you're a top 5 guy. Like you got to make it. Like that wasn't completely uncatchable.
No, he had both hands on it. I was shocked at every drop personally.
Yeah,
I was like,
same.
There's no way he keeps dropping these balls. Like, no, did he? Like, it was just bad, dude. I sprinkled the Cowboys money line obviously too, like on top of having the $400 on like the 8.5 spread. And I was like, am I really going to double dip on this game? Like, I was like amped up. I was like, this is insane. It was like, 1:00 in the morning on like a Thursday night. And I was like sitting in my bed, like sitting straight up, like sweating. Like it was awesome.
Dude, you got fired up. It was opening night of the NFL.
And I had a massive bet. I mean,
that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be you're supposed to be standing on your bed sweating.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're not going to go over every game here. Unless if you have any that you want to go over, I have a few more here. I just wanted to quickly highlight the Pittsburgh Steelers New York Jets game. If you were to say that this would have been, I guess, the second most highest scoring game of the entire weekend after the Bills game, I believe. I think they scored more points. Yes, they did. I think everybody would have been like, yeah, you're a liar because both of these teams usually suck. And I can't tell, like, off of instinct right now is that bad or good? Because both of these offenses are pretty bad and both of these defenses are supposed to be pretty good. So is this more of an indication of these defenses taking a step back this season? Because I'm definitely not expecting the Pittsburgh Steelers to look like that on a week-to-week basis, no matter who their quarterback is. Rodgers obviously had 4 touchdowns, but I like I said, I think that was more of an indication of how bad the Jets defense is compared to how good the Pittsburgh Steelers offense looked.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was just a bad defensive game all around. The Steelers had some things bounce their way. Aaron Rodgers didn't necessarily he made some good throws. He still has an okay arm, but if he's getting any type of he's his movement is like Kirk Cousins was last year in Atlanta, but he has a better arm. It's like if he moves out of the pocket or is off center, basically, it's like he's probably going to get tackled. But if he has a decent pocket, he can still make some of these throws. So it's just a matter of whoever's defense you're going up against, can they get you pressure? Can you get him off of his starting point? And if you can, I feel like you'll have some success. But they did have some things bounce their way. There was that one pass that should have been picked. It got tipped and fell CD or DK it just landed in his lap. Yeah. Do I expect the Steelers to look like this every week? Absolutely not. I agree with you there. Do I expect the Jets to look like this every week? Absolutely not. But I will say this was probably the best that Justin Fields looked in his NFL career. This was probably his best game.
He looked really good. And, what really stuck out to me is obviously the run threat was real with him and Breece Hall. They looked really good together as a duo, but I said it before the season started. Him and Garrett Wilson have an unspoken bond. They do. I mean, it does matter. They played a ton of football together already. They're clearly boys. All of that stuff, I think plays into something that we talk about from time to time, and that is just quarterback confidence. Having the confidence to go out there and make the plays is super important. Them having that prior chemistry, like I said, they played a ton of football together. 7 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. And this felt like we talked about it with Daniel Jones. You were oh, it feels like he's finally comfortable a little bit. I don't know how much of it feels like Justin Fields has a pretty long leash in New York because they're trying to figure out what they have in him. Kind of something that I wanted the Steelers to do with Justin Fields last year, where it's you guys aren't going to win a Super Bowl. So cut Justin Fields loose and see if you have a guy or not. And they kind of dialed his skill set the whole way back and shrunk that. But it feels like the Jets are just going to let him play, and to put up 32 points on a defense that I might not love, but they are clearly a pretty decent defense. And this Jets
supposed to be one of the best.
And this Jets offense has been abysmal over the past few years. I mean, it's got to mean something. So shout out. I thought the Jets had a pretty promising performance, and along with the Justin Fields performance as well.
I thought Breece Hall looked really good too. It was good to see him finally put together. I mean, he had some good games last year, but not what he didn't play enough of the games that you would be okay, yeah, this is a top 10 running back in the NFL. He had a really great game today, or not today, Sunday. Great to build on. I think actually having Justin Fields back there is really going to help him because it's just another option on the ground that teams are going to have to worry about. So that'll open things up for him as opposed to last year where there was absolutely nobody worried about Aaron Rodgers keeping the football and taking off. But additionally, I saw some clips of the offensive lineman that they drafted. I'm drawing a blank on his name. The right tackle. Yeah, and he looked pretty good. So I would say that's a positive if you're a Jets fan too. I know that you didn't win this game, but Justin Fields looked pretty good. Your offensive line looked pretty decent. Breece Hall looked good. Garrett Wilson looked good. Just got to figure out the defense.
Definitely. Now let's go to Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Okay.
Where the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers squared up. This section of the podcast is just for the quarterback truthers of guys who I've been all over for a little while now. And I'm going to start with this Justin Herbert performance. 25 for 34, 318 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I thought he looked incredible, making plays with his feet as well on the ground when things got tough, being able to bail out of the pocket and still being able to be mobile and move. And then he put on an absolute clinic of a passing performance. Quentin Johnston looked really good. Keenan Allen obviously looked really good getting back into Los Angeles. I thought that obviously we like Ladd McConkey. I think he'll do more throughout the course of the season. And something that will get figured out, but wasn't figured out in this first game of the season, the running game. When Omarion Hampton starts to get more comfortable in this offense and they're able to get this running game going with him and Najee Harris, this offense, which we were all over, I really like this offense coming into the season. There's no reason to not like what they could do in the air and on the ground. So big mass people were trying to like downplay the fact that the Chargers are. Go read our comments. If you want to figure out how people feel about the Los Angeles Chargers, go and read the comments on how down people are in the Los Angeles Chargers. And they go out week 1 and beat one of the most important teams of the last decade on opening night and made a statement by doing it, because it felt like at the end of the game when it was getting tight, 3rd and long, we're like, we've seen this a million times. The Chiefs are going to get the ball back and go down and score. Justin Herbert, team on his back, scrambles out wide. I think it was like a 20-yard run. Slides,
yeah, I was going to say, I think it was 17 yards. Yeah.
Ices
first
the game.
Down, game over.
It was awesome. It was an awesome performance by Justin Herbert. I'm a massive Justin Herbert fan. I've obviously been saying that for a long time. I felt like the criticisms of him and the playoffs and all this stuff. I mean, there's only a few teams every year who can win, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Justin Herbert can perform at a really high level. And I'm feeling really good about this Los Angeles Chargers football team. What about you?
Oh my gosh, that game was awesome. That was like, it felt so great as somebody that has stood up for Justin Herbert for so long to see him finally like close out a big game like this. And your rebuttal can be, well, it's only week 1. It doesn't matter. You still go out there and you beat the Chiefs. Like it's
the Chiefs.
That's a great
Why
win.
are people acting? We're trying to downplay this win. It's like, this is the team who won 15 games last season, who's the Super Bowl favorite, who everybody loves. It's the monster of Mahomes. Like, they went and slayed the dragon in Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil. And on top of that, Herbert looked like the Justin Herbert that was the top 3 quarterback in the, like, he looked like a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
Candidate. He looked like
That's
an MVP
right.
candidate. So
I picked him. I picked him at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But
I'm sorry.
I texted you this during the game, and I was like, is Keenan Allen the key to this passing offense? And after 1 week, it kind of looked like it, because he got 10 targets, Ladd got 9, Quentin Johnston got 7, and like Herbert was slinging the football all over the field, and he just looked way more comfortable. He had a guy that's been there before that he had prior chemistry with, in Keenan Allen, who's still got some juice left in the tank. Like, just adds another weapon to this offense. And yeah, they didn't run the ball great, but I'm with you. I think that they'll get the run game figured out. And if Quentin Johnston continues to play at this level, they have 3 guys at receiver that you have to worry about moving forward. So
absolutely,
hell of a game. I loved watching this football game. It was a huge W for us Justin Herbert fans. I'm looking forward to next week, is all I can really say about it.
Yeah, and on the flip side of things, I planted my flag on the Eagles earlier. I'm planting my flag on the. I said that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to have the year from hell. That was my year from hell team going into the year. This all but confirmed it. I mean, 3rd play of the game, Travis Kelce just running into Xavier Worthy and popping his shoulder out of place. And then the report comes out saying, well, we're going to then we're going to see if he can play with a brace on before we ultimately go for the surgery. It's like, there's no in between. Like if there's no in between, I'm a little worried about that. So, and then obviously the Rashee Rice 8-game suspension to start the year. There's a lot going on with this team right now that I just don't think they are going to be able to go and make a deep playoff run and get back to the Super Bowl. Same issues. Offensive line look bad. Can't run the football. They have limited targets on offense. Mahomes did what he could do. He made some great plays down the stretch to put them back into this game and give them an opportunity. Don't think the defense looks as good as it has in past years, which is obvious because they have just lost top end talent year after year, just not being able to pay them. But yeah, this team, I just don't think that they have the gas to be able to do this and to go and start the season already 0-1 in the division, dropping a game to the Chargers. That's obviously meaningful. And I just think the Chargers look like a way better football team than them.
I have two other things. I hate when people continue to try to tell me that they like Isaiah Pacheco. Like even before the season started, I had people like asking me if they should take him in fantasy, and I'm like, why would you ever take him in fantasy? He sucks. They can't run the football.
No good.
And then second was Tyre Tart, the defensive tackle for the Chargers, deserves a shout out. He absolutely rocked Travis Kelce with that right hand. And then after proceeded to knock down like 3 important passes from the Chiefs. There was a 2-point conversion that he knocked down. There was like a 3rd down conversion that they were looking to convert on that he knocked down. And then there was like one other pass in a relatively big moment that he knocked down. So like shout out to him.
Definitely shout out to him. Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco's done. He's a 7th round pick for a reason. He had a little bit of juice, but he just doesn't look like a good football player. Like he can't really run the ball. He's like the classic, like Brian Robinson Jr., like I always said, like where he gets it and just like runs right into the backs of the offensive lineman. He has no vision. He's not a good player. And to get out snapped by Kareem Hunt at this point in his career, I mean, it's just bad. So Tyquan Thornton's getting way too many targets. Kareem Hunt's getting way too much burn. It's just this team is not very good right now. They are going to have to assess this situation a lot, in my opinion, and I think that it's going to have to being honest with yourselves. And I said it before the year started, like Travis Kelce's old. Chris Jones is in his 30s. Like all of this stuff, losing top end talent year after year. You're going to they were early on the Tyreek Hill situation to give them a bunch of draft capital to set them up. A forward thinking front office should have made some of these hard decisions a few years in a row to set them up even further. That's just not how it played out, but I'm planting my flag that the Kansas City Chiefs they're not getting back to the Super Bowl this year either. I don't think that they'll be representing the AFC.
No, I don't think they will either. I think if the Chargers are playing at this level, they were my pick. The Bills and the Ravens, well, not to play in the Super Bowl, but to win that division. The Bills and the Ravens, which we're going to talk about, both of those teams are better than this Kansas City Chiefs team as of now. Chargers are better. A couple other teams that I feel much better about than I do this Kansas City Chiefs team. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that this is a nightmare start for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, literally. And then they have the Eagles next week going away. I might be smoking a cigar after that game. I'm hate watching the hell out of them. I want the Eagles to win that game bad. The next game, you're not too high on him, but I have to highlight it because I gave my case of why this team could potentially be most improved going into the season. You felt like I did a good job of that. I've been saying he's top 10 for the last few years. People have been saying I'm an idiot. Geno Smith, 24 for 34, a touchdown, an interception on the sideline where it hits the guy's hand. The guy on defense makes a play on it. Awesome performance by Geno Smith in the rain. He looked incredible. This offense isn't great by any stretch of the imagination. They weren't really able to run the football. They have their receiving core is a bunch of nobodies, and Jacoby Myers pretty much. Brock Bowers obviously is on this team, so not to discredit him. But
he did get banged up though.
And then this defense as well. I thought their defense played really well. That's obviously the Pete Carroll influence. And I thought the offense looked really good, which was obviously the Chip Kelly influence as well. To go on the road, beat a Patriots team in some inclement weather. I know the final score was only 20-13, but I absolutely love this performance by the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, do you remember when I said the Jacoby Myers and Geno Smith connection is something to look out for this upcoming season? Well, I'm feeling great about that after week 1 from a Raiders perspective. On the flip side of it, New England.
Great call. Great call.
I'm not feeling great about New
Jacoby
England.
Myers. Timeout. I'm taking over from here. No disrespect.
Go ahead.
Drake Maye is not a guy at all. I know that you said, like, after I said that, like, you're selling all your Drake Maye stock. I'm buying it all up. I've absolutely seen enough from Drake Maye where all of the issues that he had coming out of college this year, and then this first game of the season, like you said, it's only the first game of the season. He has a lot more room to grow. I'm not seeing it from him. I think that he's more like a Daniel Jones or a Mitch Trubisky more than and those guys went to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that that's not possible, but the high end comparisons that Drake Maye has gotten over the past few years, over like the last year and leading up into the NFL going into this season, stop. He's not a mini Bill Simmons. He's not a mini Josh Allen. He'll never be a mini Josh Allen. He's not good enough. He is extremely inaccurate. He sails passes. He isn't comfortable within the pocket at all. And he has the same footwork problems now that he did when he was coming out of college 2 years ago. I'm out on Drake Maye. I'm out on this Patriots team for the rest of the season, actually. I just don't think that they're very good. I thought that the Jets looked way better than they did. Like I said, this is week 1, but I'm planting my flag left and right all over the place because I just want to see how these predictions play out. Drake Maye, in my opinion, is just not ever going to reach those top end comparisons the way that people predicted going into this season, like a potential breakout year. I don't think that he's disciplined enough to be able to make that happen.
Okay, I'll talk about the Patriots, but I want to talk about the Drake Maye, Josh Allen thing. For the love of God, can we stop comparing guys to like peak Patrick Mahomes and peak Josh Allen and peak Lamar Jackson? Because the development that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson went through from college to the NFL is an anomaly. Those guys, and I know we're going to talk about that game here, but those guys are so much fucking better than everybody else at the quarterback position in the NFL that I don't want to hear guys in college, first year guys, being compared to them anymore. And I understand it's coming from like a gameplay aspect and from a build aspect, but Drew Aller gets the Josh Allen comparison because he's 6'5" and has a good arm. Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks that I have ever watched in my entire life. Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever watched in my entire life. Jaden Daniels, yeah, he's good, but to compare him to Lamar Jackson, unfair to Lamar Jackson. So I want to stop that conversation right here because those two guys are anomalies in the sport, and I don't think it's right or fair to compare guys to them. We need to find a different comparison because those guys are so freaking good at the quarterback position that it does them a disservice when you're getting a comp from when you see Drake Maye coming out and it's like, yeah, he gets a Josh Allen comp. Jaden Daniels gets a Lamar Jackson comp. Like, I will not be participating in that any longer.
He's Mitch Trubisky.
Better. I think that is a much better comp. And you said that in our group chat, and I was like, okay. Like, I thought about it for a little while, and I was like, that's probably a better comp. He's closer to Mitch Trubisky than he is Josh Allen.
100%.
And okay, now to the Patriots. Their offensive line sucks. They can't run the football, and those are two humongous issues if you want your quarterback to take a step forward. That isn't athletically as gifted as, say, Jaden Daniels. And I say Jaden Daniels because he was in a spot where his offensive line wasn't great, his run game wasn't great, and we saw what he did last year. Drake Maye is a good athlete, but he's not the same athlete as Jaden Daniels. I'm not selling my stock on him. I think there's still something there, but this was a brutal first game, and a game that they were expected to win against the Raiders team. I believe they're 2.5, 3-point favorites against the Raiders. They did not look like it. The Raiders were the better football team on Sunday, but I just don't. I'm right there. I don't love this Patriots team even after 1 week.
I just don't know who's teaching Drake Maye these jump pass off platform YOLO balls all the time. It makes zeros. Who taught him to do that? And I don't think anybody teaches him to do that. I just think I think he's uncomfortable within the game. That is my biggest takeaway of the Drake Maye experience as of right now is if you can't control yourself within the pocket and plant your feet and be able to make a play, I get it, you're athletic and you can make some runs and shit like that. But to just be willy-nilly, wild, throwing the football, I just don't really love what I see out of him at all. You talk about inconsistency, Drake Maye is wildly inconsistent. His game is on on a play-to-play basis is wildly inconsistent. He might make an absolute dart piss missile throw across the middle to Kayshon Boutte, and then the next play be standing straight up and down, jump up in the air and throw a pass. It's what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. It doesn't even look like the same player sometimes. And I think he looked better last year at the end of the season in those games that didn't matter. But the thing is, they matter a lot more now. You're the starting quarterback. You have to make improvements. You have to continue to develop, but not a great start.
Guy.
Not a great start. Yeah.
He's an irrational confidence guy. He thinks he's God and he sucks.
You have to have some of that, but you have to know when to turn it off. And then you also, if you're going to have that, you also need to be Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
Yes. He reminds me, if you want to do a Josh Allen comparison, his inability to quit and give up on a play works against him in every sense of the phrase. At some point you're going to have to be able to give away a play or make a throwaway or something like that, but he's just so committed to trying to make something happen. When Josh Allen had the massive turnover issue for a 3-year stretch, and then they were finally dude, you got to stop doing that. Unfortunately, I just don't think he has that high-end talent of a Josh Allen in any way, shape, or form. So we'll see. I think my reaction is obviously pretty extreme, but I just feel I've seen enough from Drake Maye. I expected him to come out against a Raiders defense and secondary that's relatively weak and not put on a clinic, but at least look decent. I want to look at his stats here real quick before we move on. He went
30 for 46 for 287 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
1 pick and a QBR of 39.2, and then 4 carries for 11 yards and a long rush of 4. Yeah, I just thought that was a shitty game out of him personally. But like I said, I'm selling my Drake Maye stock. I'm selling my Patriots stock. I'm embarrassed I picked them to win the division. If I could have one give me, it would be that. I just think they look like shit.
I don't love the fact that he had to throw the ball 46 times. I think that is part of it too. Is with the young guy,
a 20 to 13 game.
Exactly. It wasn't it wasn't like they were getting blown out. It wasn't 40 to 7 and he had to throw 46 times. they just can't run the football. I mean, everybody was all over Travion Henderson this offseason, and like he had 5 carries. 5 carries for 27 yards. Like, yeah, he was running at 5.4 a clip, but
I
like
was getting shit.
half of his rushing yards were one play.
I was getting shit for taking Bill Krosky Merritt as a backup running back, and people were trolling me in the chat. And somebody in our league took Travion Henderson in the 3rd round. So like
That's
with
crazy.
their 3rd pick. So it's like I took a guy as like a definitive backup, and he looked pretty good week 1. I'm not gonna like sit here and run victory laps on everybody, but he leads all rookies in rushing. And Travion Henderson didn't really play that much at all. Got out snapped by skinny jeans Ramondre Stevenson and didn't look good. So it's just, yeah, I'm with you. I'm worried about this team, and I think that they should be able to get it together at some point, but I am worried about the start of this season for this team more than anything, because I think that it's going to be rough to start out. But
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, does Kayshon Boutte, or Boutte, however you say his name, does he look like he's running in like overalls? Like he looks so slow.
He's good. He's good. I mean, if you would have told me that somebody could revive his career like him, I would have said 0% chance, like at all.
I mean, he was making some plays, but he looks so slow.
Yeah, he is slow. He's slow as hell. There's 2 more games I have on the docket, and I just want to touch on this quick. I don't want to take too much time on it in any way, shape, or form, but we got absolutely hounded. It's one of our most viewed videos of the entire offseason, and the comments absolutely hounded us about this Denver Broncos team. Newsflash, Bo Nix came out week 1 against one of the worst teams in the NFL and looked like absolute shit. If Cam Ward had any sense of a receiving core, if you watch the Cam Ward tape, and it's been all over Twitter, his guys just flat let him down. That's all there was to it. He was beating this defense with his arm and making plays happen. They finished this game 20-12. But it was off no effort at all of Bo Nix. So everybody who was so high on Bo Nix and was just like lecturing us on how great he was and this, that, and the third, this offense is weak. Bo Nix is not that good. Their weapons are some of the worst in the NFL. And that is just the facts. Their wide receiving core sucks. Evan Ingram's already banged up, and Bo Nix looks like fucking shit. On the other side of the football with the defense, yes, their defense looks pretty good. Yes, Patrick Surtain II is the best corner in the NFL. I'm not saying that. Nick Benito played pretty well. But if you're telling me that you kept a Tennessee Titans team around at home as 8.5-point favorites for majority of this game, and all you hear about is, you don't want to play in Denver in September. You don't want to play in Denver in September. A rookie quarterback going in there and holding his own against one of the league's quote unquote best defenses. What an absolutely embarrassing performance by the Denver Broncos, who was everybody's honeymoon team going into this football season. And for them to go out there and lay an egg against one of the worst teams in the NFL is not getting enough recognition this offseason, or this week 1. And the one thing that you sent me today, and I want you to comment on it as well, is to set the stage. I believe it was 4th and 8 or something like that along those lines.
I think so, yeah.
There was a clear opportunity for them to send the field goal team out, kick a field goal, and kind of ice this game. Instead, the egomaniac Sean Payton is on the sideline with his play sheet like this, like dialing up a play like this, like a motherfucker. And Bo Nix goes out there, and what do you know? He just throws a YOLO ball down the sideline to Marvin Mims, and they turn the ball over, and it looks like shit.
It was such a lollipop, like, I don't even care about this play, like, type of throw. Like, the scenario was a 1-possession game, and sure, you have a great defense, but, like, maybe they'll coach it differently against a different team. But even in a game where you are superior defensively, like, that isn't the mindset that I would want to have as a team of, like, yeah, this doesn't really matter. So we're just going to run a one person go route. I'm going to throw a little lollipop up there and hope he catches it in a 20-12 game, and we'll be okay because our defense is good. Like our defense will bail us out. It doesn't matter. When instead you go up there, you take the 3 points, you make it 23-12, the game's over. I don't think Tennessee had any timeouts left. I'm trying to find the tweet, but they either had one or none, but I don't think they had any left. So yeah, they had 0 timeouts left. With them, it was 20-12 with a minute 5 left in the fourth quarter. It was 4th and 8. The Broncos had the football. The kicker, Will Lutz, is ready to go out there to attempt a field goal. Tennessee has no timeouts left. Sean Payton, egotistical psycho, dials up that horrible play and is like, okay, whatever. They don't have any timeouts left anyways. It doesn't matter because our defense is going to be there and get a stop. Thankfully for them that the defense got a stop, but giving any team a situation like that, there's a minute left. A more competent team has a chance to score in that situation. And that's, like I said, that's just not the way that I would that's not how I would want to coach my team.
But dude, Sean Payton really loves this squad. He really loves them.
I'm already sick of the Broncos.
The Broncos fucking stink. Everybody who talked so much shit in the offseason, take a look in the mirror. The Broncos fucking stink, and you're going to have to deal with that for the rest of the year. Let's go into this last game of the week, which was the most exciting game, and that was the Ravens and the Bills, which the final score of that game ended up being 40-41. I want to highlight something because I texted this to everybody in the morning. John Hussey, the referee on this game, in the Buffalo-Baltimore game, since 2016, home teams 89-53-5 against the spread, number 1 out of all referee crews, and 10-6 against the spread for home teams in 2024. The Ravens ultimately ended up being favorites in this game, and the Buffalo Bills go and 1.5 point favorites, and the Buffalo Bills go ahead and win by 1.5. Absolutely amazing game. My takeaway from this is if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you have to sit here and be like, Derrick Henry legitimately won't fumble for the rest of the year, and we got unlucky. People were trying to kind of pin this as like, oh, like hardball again, like this is coaching, like blah, 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 this, that, and the third. I thought at a point, like you could have probably let Lamar take some plays and this, that, and the third. That's a discussion for another day. But ultimately, what it came down to and what happened was Derrick Henry, the best running back in the last decade, who never fumbles in the biggest spot of the game, coughs one up, and Josh Allen was on a tear and nothing was going to stop him. He was just in a mode where it was impossible to stop what was going on offense. Both teams were. It was an amazing, it was the best game of the weekend. It was an amazing watch. And for them to come back and score 22 points in the fourth quarter, it felt like this game was dead to rights, and they came back and won it. First off, amazing effort by the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a dog. Lamar Jackson's a dog. We all know that. I think, me personally, that the Baltimore Ravens defense is going to figure it out. I don't think that they're just going to be giving up 40 points willy-nilly. That was more of a Josh Allen thing. I will say about this Buffalo Bills defense on the other side of things, Ed Oliver made some plays, like some stuff like that. But this rushing defense was brutal. And then on the other side of things as well, if you're letting Zay Flowers torch you the way that you got torched, I'm not really feeling great about this secondary until they get everybody back fully healthy. They obviously came away and won this game at home in front of their fans. It was insane. But that's my synopsis of the entire game. People were trying to act like they're like awful loss for the Ravens. It was like, you play that game, honestly, 10 times. I think the Ravens win 9 times. Like, it's just, Derrick Henry is not going to fumble in that spot. So that's me. What did you think about this game? Do you think I'm right, or do you think I'm bugging? Like, what do you think?
No, I for starters, like watching these two teams play is like some of the most enjoyable football that you could possibly ask for. it feels like you're going to get a banger every single time, and there's no words for it. It's such a great experience. It's such a great experience watching Lamar Jackson play Josh Allen and watching the Ravens play the Bills. Like, this is what it's all about. This is what we go all off season, like, waiting for games like this. And it freaking answered the bell. Like, Derrick Henry was looking unstoppable. Lamar was looking unstoppable. Josh Allen, the same. If I'm a Ravens fan, I look at it exactly how you said. I don't think it was Jim Harbaugh's fault. I think he should have punted in the fourth quarter to give the Bills the football back. Trust your defense. I understand that they've been gassed up. They've been gassed a little bit in the game anyways, but like, in any other scenario, you're getting a stop there. You just so happen to be facing Josh Allen. So I think he made the right call. The Derrick Henry fumble, chalk it up to getting it out of the way early, right? Rather fumble now in this game than if you face Buffalo in the playoffs, right? Like, get it out of the way. Yeah, this loss sucks. Yes, you should have won, but end of the day, like, that's still a good football team across the way. Josh Allen's fucking incredible. Like, there's a lot of good things to take away from this game if you're the Baltimore Ravens. Like, Zay Flowers, I don't even know when else he's had 100 yards receiving in his NFL career. They were running the football down the Buffalo Bills' throat the entire time. Like, yes, it sucks, but this Ravens team is exactly who we thought they were. One of the best teams in the NFL. The Bills stole it is really what it comes down to, I think. I don't think the Ravens lost it. I think Buffalo went out there, Josh Allen caught fire, and they stole this football game. And you're happy if you're Buffalo, and you just got to chalk it. Like I said, just chalk it up to the football gods working in your favor that night. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think either one of these teams is like down bad. I think Buffalo probably has to look in the mirror with the run defense, like you said, because they were just getting gashed. But at the same time, one of the best running backs that we've ever seen play the game of football, paired up with one of the best rushing quarterbacks that we've ever seen in the game of football. So, like, that shit's going to happen. But at the end of the day, like, phenomenal game. Buffalo's great. I think Baltimore's still great. Like, that's really what it is.
All it comes down to is both teams are as advertised, plain and simple. There's one more game that we have to get into, and then we'll go in and preview the Thursday night game, and then we'll figure out what's going on this weekend when we get there. And that is a team that me and you both picked them to miss the playoffs, and that was the Detroit Lions versus the team that we picked to go and make a deep run this year in the playoffs. And we did that before the Micah Parsons trade. Remember that? If you guys want to go back and check receipts, it's on there. That was the Green Bay Packers. They won 27-13. I mean, my big takeaway here, Detroit Lions had 0 sacks on the day. I'm really worried about this defense. I was coming into the year. It's just not going to be a good group. And then on the flip side of things, I've been on the Jared Goff is an average guy trained for a very long time. You take him out of a situation where you don't have like an elite play caller, and I'm already having some second thoughts about what this offense could potentially look like throughout the full course of the season. I'm already worried about the defense. Thought the offense would be able to figure some things out, but for your lead rusher to be David Montgomery, 25 yards, and this was a team who absolutely gashed on the ground week in and week out. It was a team that could really rely on their run game. I'm extremely worried about this team moving forward for the rest of the year. And I think we were really all over this just because of how much turnover there was coming into the season. And on the flip side of things, the Green Bay Packers look as advertised as we were talking about before. I think their defense looks like it's could potentially continue to take a step forward. And Jordan Love had a great game as well. And Mikey even got in on the action as well. There were some great highlights of him just being an absolute menace and having a true guy who can go and get to the passer pretty much anytime you need him to.
Yeah, he was out there basically just pinning his ears back and being like, this is barbecue chicken for me right now. Because
he looked very weird in a Packers jersey.
so
Very,
weird.
very weird.
So
Go ahead.
weird.
Sorry.
I completely agree. But yeah, my issues with this Lions team were offensively. The offensive line looked bad. There was pressure, what felt like pretty consistently on Jared Goff. And as we both know, he's not a very mobile guy. So if you're getting him out of the pocket, it's a win for you as a defense because odds are you have somebody that can go out there and make a play. He's not a guy that's going to beat you with his legs. I also think the score is deceiving. This game was not even remotely close to 27-13. The Lions went down late in that game. Isaac Tesla, I believe his name is, had a nice touchdown catch to make it a 27-13 game. But this was an ass whooping in all reality. The Lions could not run the football. And although Jared Goff's stats say 31 for 39, 225 yards, a touchdown and a pick, extremely misleading, equally as misleading as the score because they just did not look good. He looked so uncomfortable. And they couldn't run. They couldn't run the football, which is what they were built on as an offense last season. And if this is going to continue and the middle of that offensive line is going to be as bad as it was, they are in for some serious hurt this season. And I feel really bad about taking Amon-Ra St. Brown in fantasy.
Oh, you did. I feel like he'll probably end up getting this target.
He'll be fine, but for him to be there at like 9 or 10, I feel like I kind of had to take him. So it's fine. But as a whole, I am worried about the Lions. I don't. If this trend continues, I think it could be scary for them moving forward. Or are the Packers just that good? And I think the answer could be yes. I think the Packers could also just be that good.
They could be. I agree with you completely. Yeah, it just feels like I said, I feel like me and you had. I get it. It's week 1. I'm not going to overreact. There's so much work and so much stuff that has to go into this season still, like no matter what, but it feels like we were really on top of what it looked like going into the season, like just based off of how the offseason went.
The Jahmyr Gibbs 10 receptions for 31 yards is all-time PPR glory.
Yeah, you got to be happy. You have to be happy.
Yeah. 10 targets and 10 catches. Probably don't want your running back, though, to be your leading receiver, but that's who am I to judge?
You're correct. I was looking up some referee stuff for week 2 of the Thursday night game because we're about to do that. It looks like it's Brad Rogers. I'm trying to see if there's any tidbits here on. All right, let's get into the last game. Like I said, we'll figure out what we'll do for this weekend. Me and Noah will text and see what's up. But we have a banger Thursday night game. We have the Washington Commanders at the Green Bay Packers. Currently, as sits, the Green Bay Packers are 3.5-point favorites at home, -174 on the money line, and the over/under is sitting at 48.5. One of my favorite things from the entire weekend was just some and they all hit, was just these referee crews and some statistics about the referee crews, and they were like supremely accurate. It was weird almost. Brad Rogers crew is on this game. It's not looking as good as some of the other juicy information that I had, where it was just like some 60% plus percentage of how much of a lean it could have. But home teams are 39-37 on the money line and 38-38 against the spread in Brad Rogers' career. With the Brad Rogers crew as well, they're 43-33 towards the over in total points in his career, and Brad Rogers is 18-10 and over in career divisional games. Obviously, divisional games doesn't matter. Obviously the over could potentially stick out in this game for this referee crew, but that was something that I was texting everybody in our group chats this weekend, and they just went undefeated for some reason. Like even the Bills game at the end when they randomly won, it was like 10-6. They were since 2016, like 10-6 to home teams or whatever like that. And then the home team actually ended up coming back and winning the game. It's like, what are the odds of that? So
crazy.
One awesome game, obviously. Do you have an early lean that you could potentially think could happen in this game? My early gut tells me Green Bay big, but because it just feels like that plus number next to the Washington Commanders after the season that they had, a lot of people are going to be excited about betting this Washington Commanders team as an underdog.
See, I kind of thought the opposite because I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I think I think that Jaden Daniels can move a little bit better, obviously, than Jared Goff can. And I think the Commanders are a better football team right now than the Lions. I will say, I don't think the Commanders looked spectacular this past weekend against the Giants, but I can see them getting up for this game. It definitely means a little bit more. This is a team that they could end up facing in the playoffs. I would think that they would be able to keep this a little close, but I do like the over for sure.
I'm extremely wrong on this. Money's heavy on the Green Bay Packers. Completely wrong feel off the board. It felt like just seeing that plus money sign next to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, it felt like people would be like super excited to bet that shit.
I kind of like them to keep it close in this game, to be honest. It feels like they get up for these bigger games. At least that's what we saw last year. But I do like them. I think Jaden Daniels is going to cause some issues on the ground that Jared Goff didn't necessarily bring to the table last weekend.
Yeah, and I like the I like the aggressiveness that we saw last season as well from the Washington Commanders. You know that if it's 4th and short, they're probably going to go for it on 4th down. And that's good on both sides of the equation because if they stop them, that could potentially lead to some short fields for the Green Bay Packers. And you expect this Green Bay Packers offense to be efficient. And then on the other side of things, that keeps drives alive and keeps them potentially going into deep waters and be able to put up points. Yeah, I'm right with you on this. What was the stat that I just said before about the over here? It was Brad Rogers' crew is 43-33 to the over career in his games. Yeah, I'm going to bet this right now. Actually, I'm going to put 59. How much is in my account here? 59.76 on the over right now. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
I'm logging in right now.
You're also betting it?
Yeah, because I think that'll go up. Let's see what it's currently at. It says on ESPN, I'm on the not the ESPN app, but like the ESPN website. Currently that spread, according to Bet ESPN, is 3.5, and the total is 48.5. Let's see if that is still the case. Okay. It is still at 48.5. The over is minus 106.
That's what I just took. The same thing.
I'm on it.
That's all. That's pretty much all I have. I don't think there's much to talk about this game. Obviously, we'll watch it play out. I like the over as well. I don't know if you have anything else. One thing I do want to highlight here is if you do want to join our Discord, just purely based off vibes, like nothing more than that. It's obviously in the link of the description below. I was absolutely smoking hot on gambling this weekend. I had Cowboys plus 8.5. I obviously had I had a parlay on the Chargers Chiefs game that hit, and then on Saturday, unfortunately, I went 0-2 on my picks, which stung a little bit. And then on Sunday, I went 5-1, which included San Fran money line, the under in the San Fran Seattle game, Brenton Strange over 28.5 receiving yards, Chris Olave over 4.5 receptions. The one that didn't hit was James Conner over 72.5 rushing yards. I had Vegas money line and Cards minus 6.5. So I went on a good run this past weekend, kind of starting off super hot with the Eagles game, and then on the night game of the Buffalo Bills Ravens game, I had another parlay. I've been taking, like I showed you, it was like Ravens plus 6.5.
Yeah.
an alternate over Lamar Jackson 175 passing yards and Derrick Henry 60 rushing yards. That hit. And then last night for Monday Night Football, I had Vikings money line, thought it was dead in the water, and then obviously they came back out of hell and won me that. So awesome first week of gambling, up big units on the weekend.
I was on some much calmer betting this past weekend. I had Mississippi
State. Your girl
State.
Doesn't let you.
That's not true. she gambles.
Yeah, okay.
She does. But I had Arizona State, Iowa State in a parlay.
I'm sure.
Don't fucking look at me like that. I had Arizona State, Iowa State in a parlay, and Arizona State lost on like a last-second touchdown to Mississippi State, which was just brutal.
Insane.
But Sunday I had Commanders Cardinals parlay that hit. I had Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown. I don't know what I was thinking here, but there is like this triple crown bet that you can take on FanDuel, and it's most passing yards, most receiving yards, most rushing yards. I took it at the beginning. I took it before the game started. I took Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, and James Cook like an idiot at plus 1,500. I should have if I would have put Derrick Henry instead of James Cook, I would have crushed it.
You also gave out the Dolphins money line.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't actually take it.
So Noah is the type of guy to tell his friends to take a play and then not actually bet it himself. Insane.
I took the Lamar one. I wanted to see I needed to see what the room said, and nobody responded.
No, insane move.
I was throwing it out there. Nobody responded to it, so I was like, maybe they don't like it.
I said all my bets. I said all my bets. Do I ever sit there and wait for you guys to double down on it? No, I'm telling you what I'm taking.
Well, that was.
What if I rode? What if I rode?
Then I would have felt really bad.
Okay, exactly. You didn't even freaking take it.
Okay, well, next time I'll preface it with this is a feeler. Just so we're crystal clear.
Way better.
And then in the Bears Vikings game, I parlayed the Bears plus 3.5 and under 53.5, which I was kind of sweating that low key.
Yeah, definitely.
So
all right, well, hey, it feels good to be back. Let's figure. You text me and let me know what your vibes are. I'm not doing anything this football season other than going to Arizona for a week, but I'll just record remotely during said time. So just let me know what you want to do. Let's see how many videos we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I need to lock in.
Oh, so you're posting every single discussion about the game individually?
Not every single one, but I think that there's some good clips in here. So
okay, all right, I like that. All right, yeah, I'll text you. We can figure it out.
All right, brother. Peace.
Go Birds.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man, and take vision.